Okay, hello everyone. I seem to be back making a flurry of videos again. Basically because I've got a lot of things to say about nationalism and what's happening here in Catalonia, and what I really want to do is kind of make important points that are relevant to everyone. And I started off actually up by the Spanish government delegation yesterday, but as you saw as I came in now, there's a lot of noise from the road and I can't get to speak, so I'm kind of here. I think I'll come here, and this is the cloister of the Iglesia de la Concepción, the Conception Church, and I suppose this is it. This is where I want to start, really. Because it's my love for places like this, it's my love for beauty that got me into Catalan nationalism. You know, it was love. It's the love of their food, it's the love of their language, it's the love of their art, their architecture, their literature, and I kind of, I get an incredibly positive vibe for them. And this was the point, really, and one of my realizations was that immigrants won't love this like they do, and they won't love it like sensitive Europeans like me and you do. They'll want to burn it down and they'll want to destroy it, and I kind of think places like this are just a really necessary part of my life. I rabble rouse on Twitter, but I spend a lot of time coming to quiet places like this. One of the things I often do is I just sit in churches because I like the smell of them. I find difficulty becoming a proper believer, but there's something I love about these places that you can't take away from me. So I kind of want to get back on the subject of Catalan nationalism and what happened yesterday, really. And in some of the comments of my video yesterday, some Catalan girl accused me of being a British right-winger who didn't understand anything. I mean, you can think what you like, Duck, and telling me that I was pro-Franco. I'm not these things. I've got heavy criticisms of Franco. I think but I haven't got such an emotive view of Spanish history as many of the people who lived through it have. I can look at it more objectively. I want the best for the people I've lived with for the last 30 years. And when I made the video yesterday, I went to the government delegation, which is just around the corner from here, actually, quite close to where I live, so wouldn't be difficult to dox me if you really wanted to. And there wasn't very much going on. But throughout the day, there were some massive demonstrations, and one has to recognise that there's a big element to Catalan nationalism where the Catalans do come out and express their Catalanness, express their identity. They sing important songs like the national anthem, El Segadors it's called, it's the Reapers, a big bon cop de fal, so a strong swing of the side, and then the more modern song by, I think it's by Yak, La Estaca. And people come out and bring their flags and speak their language, and it's amazing actually. In lots of the places, I was in Figueres last week, I was in Vic recently, and I was appalled by the number of migrants. All of a sudden, the good thing about this kind of nationalism is the Catalans take the streets and they sing things like als carrers sempre saran nostres. The streets will always be ours. Well, I really hope this for them, and which is why I think they need to channel their independence. And I suppose what I want to talk about today is that I think the reason I don't support it, I don't support the movement now. That doesn't mean I don't love them. That doesn't mean I don't want the best for them. But it's not going to work because they're like hamsters stuck on a wheel. They get out on the streets and they show their sentiments. Yeah, when on the Catalan National Day on the 11th of September, my wife, because she's such a Catalan pro-nationalist, we always have a house party, and I kind of militantly, for the last 2 years, I militantly haven't attended the demonstration because I'm not prepared to be a lemming. And people were saying, yeah, but we have to go because it's a sentiment. But a sentiment is no good, really, is it? It's about winning. It's about achieving what you want, and it's about making your environment better. And the truth is, certainly in the last couple of years, this place has got worse. It doesn't look bad now, does it? It looks pretty lovely, nice singing in the background, and it's kind of it's a lovely place, and there's so many lovely little corners like this. But I want to make a quick analysis of what's wrong with the independence movement, and I'm sure I could think of many more, but I can think of 3 things just off the cuff. And the first would be that, yeah, they go out. Okay, well, no, this isn't the first. Let's go back and do the background to it. They've been coming out onto the streets in their millions and showing their sentiment for 7 years now, and they haven't really achieved anything because they've got no real political leadership. And I suspect the leadership has been cooked or compromised from the beginning, but I don't want to go too deeply into this. I just want to look at the practice of the political vision that exists now. And the first one I would criticise is they're pro-EU. So much like Scotland, much like lots of these faux nationalist movements, and they're faux nationalists in political terms, not in terms of the feelings and sentiments of the people. I'm not criticising that. What I'm criticising is the lack of leadership. And both Esquerra Republicana and PDeCAT Junts pel Sí are pro-European Union, much like in Scotland, much like everywhere else. It's ridiculous. You will have no autonomy within the European Union. Okay, admittedly, it'd be very difficult to exist as a small country, but you would have to look for, if it was feasible, you'd have to look for your own solutions to that problem. Within the EU, you're always going to be a slave. You're always going to be flooded by migrants, and basically you've had it. And on the 1st of October, on the attempted referendum, somebody criticised me for calling it an attempted referendum. It was an attempted referendum. Yes, people voted, but it wasn't legal in inverted commas, and internationally it didn't really count for anything, and that's the problem, because the international organisations didn't give the Catalans any support. And yes, throughout that day, the Spanish police did commit violence, unreasonable levels of violence. And I can't remember the statutes, but at the time I looked at the statutes, it was Article 7 that the EU could quite easily have stood up and sanctioned Spain for the behaviour of its police. It didn't. The EU doesn't support you. on the issue of the sentences that were pronounced yesterday, amounting to nearly 100 years for the various accused leaders of the independence movement who were accused of sedition, principally. Most of them got sentences between 9 and 13 years in prison. Now that's a lot. Nobody spoke out, and the Catalans are talking about their democratic tsunami. It's about democracy and human rights. The problem is nobody gives a shit. I do care, and I want the Catalans to think tactically, and with this cuck nationalism, they're not going to think tactically, because it's all kind of rainbows and happy day and smiley faces and our sentiments. No, if you do something like this, it's in order to win something, and I'll get on to my point about this at the end. The second point is there are elections coming up on the 10th of November in Spain. Now, I'm not saying that they shouldn't vote, but if this really was a coherent independence movement, if you vote in the Spanish elections, you are tacitly, more than tacitly, openly admitting that you form part of Spain. Now, for the 7 years that this has been going on, the Catalan parties have really not achieved anything in the Spanish Congress or the Spanish Senate. They had representation. They have a small amount of influence, but they only have a small amount of influence if there's not a clear majority. There's unlikely to be clear majorities, and the person that was criticizing me yesterday for being right wing was because I was talking about the socialist parties, all the Catalan parties. If push comes to shove, will support PSOE, which is the Partido Socialista Obrero Español, the equivalent of the Labour Party, and it's quite probable that they'll be the biggest party. And if push comes to shove, they'll support PSOE and Pedro Sánchez, who is the current president, without anything in return, because they're so shit scared of the right. And Pedro Sánchez is playing this, the exhumation of Franco, which is happening at the moment. And somebody else asked me in the comments, where is Franco going? There's a small cemetery in El Pardo Park in Madrid, where the Franco family have got a section, and his body will go there. I think they wanted him to put him in I think it's called the Almudena Cathedral. But that's where he's going to end up going. But the exhumation of Franco is kind of, let's beat the right and let's be the Republic again, like in 1936. And it's completely faux, like it was in 1936. It's a complete con trick. Because which government put the sentence into practice yesterday? It was the so-called socialist government, so they're not to be trusted. They weren't to be trusted from a Catalan, in inverted commas, Catalan independence view. They weren't to be trusted in the Second Republic, which was from 1931 to 1936, and then the Spanish Civil War, 1936 to 1939, because they prioritise Spain. As the election approaches, I'm going to discuss many issues about Spain, but I'm trying to look at the problems with Catalan nationalism now, and they'll support PSOE, which is completely inconsistent, and they'll participate in the elections, and they'll achieve nothing. If they were real, they would have a massive boycott. And the final thing, the effect of the sentence has been basically I always thought the independence leaders were, yeah, as I said at the beginning of the video, were either cooked or compromised. I didn't have, or certainly after the last couple of years, I didn't have much faith in most of the individuals involved. But what's happened now is that the sentence has made the current political leaders, who are even more cooked, even more scared of acting. So the current president, whose name is Tora, I can't remember his first name, I find him he's a kind of noxious globalist, pro-immigration, the faux nationalism that we see with the SNP. But he's talking about, civil disobedience and pacific disobedience, and we're going to build the republic. And it's just utter and complete bullshit, really, because yesterday there were some great demonstrations, but some things, particularly you can look at the footage on internet. I can't be bothered finding it for you. I'm doing these kind of videos now, so I can't be bothered getting clips and anything. Look for the footage from the violence at Barcelona El Prat Airport, and you'll see it. And there was violence on the streets, and plenty of people were hurt and arrested, and the Catalan police were involved in this. Now, who runs the Catalan police? I think it's the Catalan Minister of the Interior, whose name is Miquel Buch, who's ultimately responsible to the Catalan president. So, yes, there's a battle, but there's an institutional battle between Spain and Catalonia. But what do you do if you're really committed? If you really are committed and don't want to save your own skin, is you order your police force not to get involved. Then that would force Spain to bring more of its own police in. You're moving inevitably towards confrontation. So this is another inconsistency. So we've got one, being involved in wanting to be part of the EU. Two, participating in Spanish politics. And three, ordering your police to repress your demonstrators. And I'm not entering into the issue of, I think the demonstration was bad optics myself. But if they were really sincere about their aims, then they would be consistent about these three issues. And the final point I want to make is the kind of difficult situation they find themselves in. Somebody else in the comments yesterday asked me about the Front Nacional de Catalunya. Yeah, I'm friends with Sylvia Oriols on Facebook, so I've kind of been following what they're doing on the Ripoll City Council, and yeah, they seem good people, and also some Catalans. I know Enrique and can't remember the woman's name. A woman from Vic now, I've met lots of times. She's kind of quite attractive, and I know their press officer quite a lot better. He's a good lad, actually. But I've come across quite a few of them. I had lunch with Enrique, and the problem is that the Catalan right being so nationalist and the Spanish right being so nationalist are kind of pitched against each other. And I had lunch with Enrique Barbier, I don't know, perhaps 9 months ago, and I was already saying to him things like, you need to make peace with the Spanish right and look towards making a better Spain and finding your place within it. And he said, yeah, but I can't possibly say that. And I said to him, yeah, but I'm English, I can. That's what you need to do. And I suppose that the point is, I don't really support. I can't see any way out of the hamster wheel. The Catalans are continually going to be screwing themselves over whilst they're looking the other way. Immigrants are going to be invited in. Ultimately their identity is going to be diluted. I can't see a way that they could win. A few years ago, I was committed to this when I saw it as a positive thing, but I've come to the conclusion that, the Spanish right and the Catalan right need to make their peaces. The threat that is facing Spain and Europe is external, or it's being the Trojan horse. The fifth column is being allowed in, and that ultimately is going to be the problem. And in early medieval times, the Catalans and Castilians were able to ally together and shelve their differences, which were always there, in order to fight off the Muslim threat, which controlled the Iberian Peninsula for many centuries. But it was knocked away by the diverse forces in Spain, realizing that they had more in common with each other, and that they had a common enemy who in the long run was certainly not at all good for their interests. And I think that's the way Catalan identity has to go. The term for it normally is asymmetric independence. So they really need to sit down and talk about giving the Basque Country and Catalonia a kind of special role. Perhaps in future videos I'll talk about why the transition after Franco went wrong and how it was sold out. But this has gone on for rather a long time now. But isn't this stuff beautiful? Isn't all this stuff worth conserving? Now, I think it is, and I think the way it's going to be conserved is by working together, because there are outside forces who will destroy this, and I don't want to see it destroyed. I have very strong feelings, particularly about the language, so Spain should stop making its kind of ridiculous. There was a lot of wankiness yesterday. There's wankiness on the part of the extreme Catalans, and then the ridiculous Spaniards coming with their flags and waving them in the faces of people who are obviously upset. This kind of tension needs to be reduced, and the confrontation needs to be brought down. And as I've said previously, I think one of the reasons for this confrontation existing, I think it's been whipped up out of relatively little. Obviously there's sentiments and rivalry exists, but it doesn't need to be. It didn't need to get to this place, and the two sides could have backed down on many occasions, but they chose not to, because I think it interests a certain group of people to keep white Europeans confronted. I'm a kind of pan-European nationalist. I would like to see each country, each region have its identity, and us come to a sensible way of organising ourselves politically without the domination and ridiculous control that the EU as an institution implies. Anyway, that's it for today. More thoughts. This is a lovely place, isn't it? You really can see why I love being here, and I do, and I just want the best for it. So it's not, call me what you like. I've got my political views, but right wing isn't the word. It's quite a lot more dangerous than that. So anyway, look after yourselves, and I'll be back talking about this, because I think talking about another country, and particularly for my British followers, it helps you reflect on your own situations, because there are obvious parallels, and I get this in the comments, between Scotland, Wales and Ireland, different kinds of nationalisms. How do we bring those nationalisms together? When you have a sincere love of a place and you see it as being different, how do you work for the well-being of everybody? And I would say, well, we need to get out of the hamster wheel, and we need to get, if something isn't working, the stupid thing to do is to continue doing it. So we need to think again and look for ways of solving the problems, rather than continually running on the wheel and exhausting ourselves and being unable ever to get off. And that's it for today. So look after yourselves, folks. Beautiful.